What's up, guys? It's Mackenzie here. So one day at work, this man came in and we struck convo. He was mentioning his daughters all graduating from college. He seemed very proud, he seemed very happy, as a father should. I mean, why not? I think anyone would be proud of their kids graduating from college. And I remembered he mentioned what each of his daughters graduated from college with. He mentioned that one of his daughters majored in computer science and another daughter majored in engineering. And the conversation kept going and it eventually led to me. He asked me if I was going to college. I said, yes, of course, why not? I'm going to college. Then he asked what I was gonna get a degree in. And I mentioned graphic design. And I remember being quite hesitant telling him what I was majoring in because we already have a stigma around art degrees, you know. You're gonna be broke when you graduate from college. So I was pretty hesitant on telling him what I was majoring in. But as soon as I told him, he said, well, you got to figure that out because engineering is where the money is at. And it's so ironic because this was literally the exact time where I was reconsidering changing my major. I had a conversation with a family member about changing my degree to software engineering because I was so nervous that I wasn't going to find a career after college that paid good money. And I was always confident in my vision and what I wanted to do and how I was going to get there. I want to become a UX UI designer. But obviously, when people hear what I major in, they're not going to automatically assume that that's the career I want to go in because most folks don't know that career. They don't know what that is, and people already have their set ideologies about what graphic design and art is and what careers are already out there. So the fact that I had that conversation with that man and he said that, it was almost like it was confirmation for me to go after software engineering. Although I knew deep in my heart that's not what I really wanted to do for a passion, what I see myself actually tolerating in the future because of external judgments and what others thought. I had this extreme fear that I wasn't going to find a secure job in an industry that I felt like I was going to be passionate about when I graduate from college. Especially in my situation. Again, art degrees are heavily hated on. People automatically assume that when you major in an art-related degree, you're going to be a broke painter in New York somewhere. But people fail to realize that there are many more careers out there involved with graphic design that make 6 figures a year if you put in the work. And it's so hard meeting people and they're asking me what I'm majoring in, and I have to water it down to just graphic design because my path and what vision I have is so complex to explain. And obviously they're not going to sit here all day and listen to me and what I have in store, but it just kind of gives off this vibe that I'm not going to really have much when I graduate from college. And I think that's why I was so hesitant on pursuing my degree at first and switching to software engineering. And I've taken precautions. You know, I'm not just majoring in graphic design, but I'm also dual majoring and getting a minor. So there's like this different hybrid of interest I'm trying to put in to make sure that that fear does not come into manifestation. And I also hate this assumption that if you get a career in like STEM or a much more traditional career, that you're guaranteed a job. That is so not true. I mean, it may have a higher ROI, return on investment. You may most likely find a job as a nurse than you would as a painter, for example. But it is not a guarantee that you will find a job after college, especially in this economy, in this job market. There are people who have full-blown degrees in science, technology, engineering, these very high demand degrees, and they still can't find a job out here. And I'm not saying that it's entirely their fault because the job market is terrible, but those different experiences and degrees can vary between different people. So I really do hate when people put a college degree in a stigmatic box of, oh, you will definitely not find a job with that degree. That's so not true. It all depends on the person, the credibility, the experience. It's all results may vary. And the ultimate reason why I did not major in software engineering is because I know it's not what I'm passionate about. Like, it's not something I see myself doing in the long run that I genuinely enjoy doing. So I'd rather do a career that I can handle, that pays decent money, than work a career that has a higher chance of a better income and dread it my whole life and make it worse for myself. And obviously, everyone has different values. Some people have enough threshold to actually study for a degree that they don't like. But in my personal experience so far, my threshold cannot go past that. I'm not going to do a software engineering degree. I'm not going to work a software engineering job for a living. That's not what I see myself doing 20 years down the line. I've already done enough risk of going into careers that I somewhat don't find fun doing just for the sake of having financial stability. And I also think my method makes more sense for my personal journey. I'm dual majoring and minoring. I feel like I can diversify my resume while not overexhausting myself in different interests that I don't particularly find passion in. Like, I'm gonna dabble a bit into IT, dabble a bit into marketing, and combine all those different interests together to help me build towards the career that I want, which is UX UI. But I'm starting to realize that it's really all about trusting myself. Others may not see the vision. Others may look on the outside and see, yep, she's gonna be a broke painter in New York one day, making like $30,000 a year. But like, I have a vision for myself, and I think that the plan I have can work if I dedicate myself to it and I stay disciplined. And I think that goes for anybody. Like, not even just if you're majoring in an art degree and people don't believe that you're gonna make enough money after college, but also people who are going into nursing, IT, all these different fields. That applies to anybody, all right? Even if someone doesn't believe in your path, even if it is a degree that others may not find the most appealing, to have or go after, it's all about your vision. If you have a vision and you see yourself doing it and you have a proper roadmap of how you're going to get to it, it doesn't really pertain to them or matter. And that confidence in itself should give you the bravery to think, I can find a job after college. But that is a common fear nowadays because of the job market and how finding a proper, stable career is nowadays. It's a valid fear, a very valid fear. And I think that it's a fear that I struggle with most definitely because I'm going for a degree that most people wouldn't go for. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is. Yes, sir.